Hey everyone, welcome. I'm at the radio station today. As you can see, we're going to be on the air in less than a minute, and some big things happened with Trump in China. In fact, this China trip is probably the biggest thing to happen between the United States and China since Nixon opened up China. And I'm going to open up with that, and we'll cover it. And of course, today's open phone, so you can call in about anything on your mind on today's show, but that is what I'm going to be starting with, and we have so much to cover. Here we go. All right. Welcome. Right after this, we'll be live. But this China trip was world-changing, and I'm going to tell you exactly how in just a few seconds. If you're new, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe, okay? And the call-in number is pinned in the chat. All right. Here we go.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All righty, it sure is, and it is Friday already, if you can believe it. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. All right, we've got so much to cover. The president is on Air Force One on the way back to the United States from China. And, you know, this trip of President Trump's in China, this is, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make a bold statement here, and I will back it up and explain, but this trip by President Trump to China is the biggest trip, the biggest agreement, the biggest change, the biggest impact any presidential trip to China or meeting with Chinese leaders. This is the biggest one since Nixon opened up China to the world, right? Because they were closed off before. And this is what I mean by this, okay? And I know when you watch the press coverage I think has been so weak on this China trip. Mostly what they're reporting on are themselves, and some of it's interesting. I saw Steve Doocy was almost kidnapped by a Chinese bus driver, and there were some, I'm going to get into some of this as the show goes on, but there were some confrontations between the Secret Service and Chinese security, and some clashes and fighting, and the press was fighting with the Chinese. So, you know, that's mainly what the press has been covering. And those are stories, don't get me wrong, and they're interesting, and I'll get into it. But however, you know, what President Trump did with China was at a whole nother level that really hasn't even been discussed. President Trump mentioned some of this, but it hasn't really been fleshed out or even really picked up on by the media. And if you watch the mainstream media accounts, really all the media accounts of the China trip, it seems uneventful, doesn't it? I know the Boeing planes, that's a big deal if you got some connection to that. But this is a huge trip. In fact, whatever the exact opposite of non-eventful is, that's what this trip was. I mean, it was, and this is what happened, okay? A couple of big things. Now, one of them President Trump mentioned, and he might have mentioned this with Hannity, but one of the things is that you heard President Trump say that China is going to start buying oil from Alaska, from Texas, from the United States. So one of the big things that President Trump did on this trip is the beginning of resetting the entire global oil economy, right? You know, the oil economy. You know, the Middle East has been the center of the oil economy in the world, and it's been a disaster because they use that oil money for terrorism. You know, some of these countries like Iran, what they've been doing with the stranglehold, with the Strait of Hormuz all these decades. And President Trump is resetting the global oil market, the entire global oil economy, so that it centers around the United States and Venezuela, right? The oil economy is moving from the Middle East to the Americas. And that was one of the major things that President Trump was doing with China. because China has no oil, right? They have no oil, so they have to import, and they're a big country with a lot of people, so they have to import. So, and they get their oil they've been getting it from Venezuela, and they've been getting it from Iran. So that's over now. They'll be getting their oil from the United States and our client state, country we conquered pretty easily, huh? Venezuela. So that was the first thing. And President Trump wants to reset the entire global oil economy and cut the United States out of it. So that's the number one thing he did, okay? That's huge moving forward. The other thing that he did was tell China to stay the heck out of the Western Hemisphere. We took Venezuela. You were no longer permitted in the Western Hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine is in full effect and is being enforced now. And China, keep your Navy and keep all your people out of the Western Hemisphere. It's over, okay? You're out. You're no longer welcome. Oh, and by the way, you will never control the Panama Canal. So those are the main things that President Trump did, a total reset. And, you know, I was talking on the show yesterday, if you saw the Chinese, to me, look scared. They look scared because us cutting off their oil, which we've done with Iran and Venezuela, and mostly Iran, because they can still buy it from Venezuela, but they can't get anything from Iran now, has had a major impact on Iran. They have gas shortages over there, big time, because we shut down Iran. So that was the main thing, and that's huge stuff. That is massive. Now, you wouldn't know any of this if you watched the Hannity interview. I watched the Hannity interview, and I didn't think Hannity, I thought it was pretty uneventful. But, you know, I'm going to give Hannity a break because, you know, the time change and all that traveling, you know, he seemed a little off his game. But those were the main things that happened, and those are huge things. Because, you know, it's what I was telling you guys yesterday and the day before, right, with Marco Rubio, with the Maduro tracksuit and all that, is that, you know, the message to China is America's back. You're not a world power. You're still a third world country, and we're number one, and that's it. And by the way, keep your hands off China. That was a big deal. Keep your hands off Taiwan, China. Taiwan calls themselves China, but keep your hands off Taiwan. You're not taking it. So those are the main things that happened over there, and they are not nothing things. They are huge, because America's proper place as the leader of the world is, well, that's the world we live in now, right? It's a MAGA world controlled by Trump, and that's what's happened. So we have a lot to cover on the program. I am going to get into all of that. Now, today is Friday, and, you know, Friday is Open MAGA Mike Friday, open phones. It is open phones every Friday on the program. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Friday's show, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind, all right? You don't even have to comment on the things that we bring up on the show. Prep is up to you and the listening audience. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are located, all right? So if you're on hold, hang in there, and because we're coming up on the first break shortly, and I'll start taking calls after the first break. Another thing that happened yesterday that's really big, really huge, is Radcliffe, who is Trump's CIA director, not only was in Cuba yesterday, he was openly in Havana meeting with senior Cuban government officials, the director of the CIA, okay? And this is such a big deal. You know, if you go back and listen to Castro, Fidel Castro, not his psychotic brother, Raul, who's a murderer, well, so was Fidel, but if you go back to the days of Fidel Castro and you listen to him translated, you know, get some translation going, he's always talking about the CIA. The CIA is the big boogeyman over there in Cuba, and it always has been since the revolution. So the CIA director meeting with senior government officials, this is such a change in everything. They are negotiating the end of communism in Cuba. You know, the U.S. embargo, do you know why we have an embargo? I know most of you do, but, you know, for the liberally impaired in the audience, right? The reason there's a U.S. embargo against Cuba, they only have to do one thing for us to lift the embargo, and that is have a free and fair election, which they haven't done, right? They have elections, but they're all Communist Party members, and they're the candidates that they put up there. Kind of like Kamala, right? They just put her up there. Nobody voted. They just put her up there. But that is being negotiated right now. And for Radcliffe to go down there openly, flew down on a plane that said the United States of America on it, landed in the daytime at the airport in Havana, and then met with their officials. And even the Cuban government reported on this down there. So big things are happening in Cuba, and I'll talk more about that as well. All right, but let's take our first break. And our number again, 888-465-2631. And I want to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. You know, when I was driving to the radio station this morning, I was on the turnpike. And man, oh man, it was raining cats and dogs. And thankfully, I've got good tires with great tread from Friendly Tire in Margate. You know, my car has run flats on it. You know, we're in rainy season, hurricane season, rainy season. It may not be the official start yet, but it's raining every day, and it was raining really hard this morning. You don't want to be driving around on the rainy roads of Florida with bald tires. And with the low prices at Friendly Tire in Margate, there's no reason for you to do that. Well, you can get new tires for as low as $75 a tire, new tires, out the door and on the road. And when I say out the door and on the road, remember, Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or dispose of your old tire. He has thousands of used tires in stock as low as $35 a tire, and that's out the door and on the road too. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back.
I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician here in Pompano Beach for 40 years. We're open 6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendonitis, you're tired of taking the pills, the drugs, the injections, and you heard that you have to live with it, well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous with patients. They love the treatment. There's no injections. There's no medication. There's no surgery. There's none of that. It's strictly either the laser, or the acupuncture I do, or shockwave therapy I do. Open 6 days a week. Come in for the free consultation and be willing to look at you and help you.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Open enrollment may be over, but that doesn't mean your Medicare questions are. If you're turning 65, new to Medicare, moving, or qualifying for a special enrollment period, you may still have options. Don't guess when it comes to your healthcare coverage. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. She'll walk you through your Medicare Advantage, your supplements, and your prescription drug plans. Then help you find coverage that fits your needs and your budget. You don't have to figure this out alone. Call Debbie today at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. Debbie can help you with your Medicare no matter where you're located in the state of Florida. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. I Will Advisors, helping you make Medicare simple.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business. leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
When you need lab work, don't waste hours and hours waiting at the doctor's office of one of those big labs. Go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest you'll find anywhere. No appointment, doctor's order, or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor can order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. There's lots of Any Lab Test Nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
Alrighty, we're back. It's Friday. Our number 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. Before I say anything, I'm getting feedback, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm at the radio station today. I tell you, Mike, the board op, and I, we spent 20 minutes before the show, if you guys were listening early on, doing live tests on the air, and we heard no feedback. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll keep on trucking, Richie.
All right, here's the deal. You know, before this China trip, I thought that there was preparation. Well, there's always preparation for a major trip. Little did I know that part of the preparation was snatching Maduro out of Venezuela, showing our military might in Iran, and then basically having Ratcliffe go over to Cuba, and I believe there's an indictment coming down. Raul Castro will be arrested. Well,
what's happened. You're right. What's happened with Raul Castro, who I didn't even realize was still alive, Fidel's brother. I thought he had died for some reason. And Raul Castro is an evil dude. He's Fidel's brother. He was the president after Fidel, but when Fidel was alive, Raul was the torturer. He did all the kidnappings and torturing of people all those years for Fidel. And the United States, you may have seen, we're offering to give Cuba $100 million, and there's a lot of conditions. And it looks like one of them is hand over Raul.
Yeah, because of that brother to the rescue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the plane. So this is such a big deal. People don't realize. I mean, Cuba was in our news, especially in South Florida, every day since Kennedy.
Wow.
I mean, and then it stopped. And we had all these Cubans that came into the United States and boat lifts and all this craziness. It's all coming to an end.
Well, and I want you to think about this, okay? Think about this with Cuba, right? Yeah, everything you said is right. I mean, there was all a big buildup. And the reason that he hasn't obliterated the rest of Iran is he wanted it to cool off over there for an international trip. I imagine when he gets back and settled in, those speedboats they got are going to be obliterated. But for Cuba to actually be talking to Ratcliffe yesterday about handing over Fidel Castro's brother, who would have ever thought there would even be such a discussion? Things have really changed.
Oh. Yeah, and you know, when you talk and I talk over you, by the way, I don't get the feedback, believe it or not.
Say that again? Say that again?
When you're talking and I overtalk you, sometimes I have a habit of doing that.
Oh, okay.
It's the feedback to myself.
All right.
Once I stop, you hear it. But anyway, here's the major.
So don't stop talking, Richie. That's the answer. Don't stop talking.
I'm gonna. Here's here's the major. I don't know if you switch off with me or not, but here's the major deal. This is just to me watching this happen. Any leftists who were screaming when Maduro was arrested that we're kidnapping somebody. These people are so out of touch with what's going on in the world and what President Trump has managed to do, the turnaround of everything. Like you said, this is like history rewritten.
Well, yeah, and this is, you know, what Trump has done. Everything you said is true. Maduro in Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, all this was a buildup, and he was telling, and what he did was go over there to told China what the new world order is. That's what most of what that yes.
Do you realize that when we went into Iran, they had Russian and Chinese anti-aircraft, and they couldn't detect our planes? Don't you think that scared the hell out of them? That was a message that our technology is so superior to what you.
That's right.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. The whole thing.
Well, and you know, the press that have been following Trump to China, even Hannity in that interview that aired last night, I don't think they have any idea what's just happened. They're
Cuba is going to happen within the next month. I'm guaranteeing you this. I'm after what I saw that clip, they had it on video. They literally showed the Cuban president sitting there. He's basically saying we're going to change everything and we're going to turn over free.
Let me tell you what has changed in Cuba, where the Cuban president, who's a communist, brought up, brainwashed with Fidel, that he is willing to turn over Raul Castro to the United States for prosecution. What's going on down there that there's been such a dramatic change?
They're cut off from Venezuela, they're cut off from China, and they're cut off from Russia. Russia and China basically hands off because our technology is so military technology means everything. We've managed to demonstrate to those two superpowers that they can't compare with ours.
That's right.
And they're running tail between their legs.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to stay out of South America.
That's right. Well, listen, Richie, I got to run, but I'm gonna put you on hold, so don't hang up. All right, I'm gonna put you on hold. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to talk about Sloman's. You know, this new technology that Sloman's has. I mean, we are living in the future, right? The only thing we don't have readily available from all the science fiction movies are the flying cars, and those even exist. Those are already in existence, flying cars, but they're just not available for regular people. But this new technology that Sloman's has is unbelievable. The Sloman's facial recognition cameras. Sloman's advanced tech recognizes familiar faces and alerts you when specific people arrive. It connects with your alarm system, your smart devices. So when you pull up to your house, your lights turn on, your door's unlocked, you don't need any keys, nothing. It's just boom, right there, because it knows it's you. And right now, for a limited time, you can get all of it for just $24.95 a month. You'll receive an all-in-one facial recognition door lock and doorbell camera, an outdoor camera, plus the Sloman Shield home security system that includes an LED keypad, 3 door or window contacts, a motion detector, and battery backup, all professionally installed. Give them a call no matter where you're located. Toll free 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. All right, callers on hold. You stand by. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show.
Good chance of showers and thunderstorms.
Weather brought to you by All Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Vehicle crash, I-95 northbound north of county line at mile marker 40.
By the way, you guys, did you see my, do you, without looking it up, did you get my, what my thumbnail is a takeoff on? Anybody know what it is? Let me know in the chat. The thumbnail to the video, what is it a takeoff on? Anyone get it? Let's see. I spent way too much time making that thumbnail, but I thought it was such a cool idea. Yes, not Chinatown. Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble in Little China. Yes, Will Hawk got it first. That's right, Big Trouble in Little China. Defend myself. Call me on the air. I don't defend myself to the chat room. You got to call me on the air. I spent way too much time making that thumbnail, but I thought it was such a cool idea. Yeah, did you see Melania is in it? Kurt Russell. No, it's I replaced Kurt Russell with Trump. Yes, China's the third world, no doubt about it. It's all smoke and mirrors.
I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 49 years on the air.
All right, we're back. Oh, man. All right. It is Friday. Our number 888-465-2631. It is open phones every Friday, Open Mega Mike Friday. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're on the air. What's your name?
You're on the air once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. I heard myself. All right, the rest of you on hold, hang tight. Okay, now there's a couple other things. This is absolutely amazing. Okay, I saw this morning, and it really blew me away. There's been all this, the Democrat Party, we know, is fading away out of existence, right? Just totally fading away out of existence as we know it. And they know it. And it's not just because of the redistricting. A lot of it has to do with the Supreme Court ruling on the race-based districts. People have been doing some analysis, and the American Spectator did some analysis. Listen to this. This is the analysis of the American Spectator on the ending of the Democrat Party gerrymandering of the congressional districts. American Spectator. The Supreme Court's decision to curb race-based congressional districts strikes at the structural foundation of the Democrats' power in the House, right? Now, there's been 21 or so districts that everyone's been talking about. However, the American 20 districts that are race-based that are wiped out now. The American Spectator did a more detailed look. The American Spectator is counting 122. Listen to this. This is according to the American Spectator. They say 122 of the Democrats' 212 seats in the House sit in majority-minority districts engineered and gerrymandered on the racial lines. So that's over 100 districts. Even if they're off by a little, it's a lot. And between this midterm and the House races in 2028, we're going to, I know, isn't that something? We're going to start to get, for the very first time, it's going to take a couple of election cycles. It'll start in this one, but 2-3 elections in the House, and it'll all be settled, and we're going to finally have real representation that represents the American people from the individual states in the House of Representatives. The gerrymandering is so entrenched and has been there for 60 years that we're so used to it we don't even realize it. And if it's 100 or more seats, American Spectator says 122, it's over for the Democrats. Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name?
Oh, it's gonna be one of those days, Mike. You see what's happening? It's gonna be one of those days. I'm telling you. This is when you can tell things are going well for us. They're going well for us when the liberals start acting out. So, back to this. If the American Spectator is only half right, right? If it's, if they're saying that 122 of the Democrat House seats are gerrymandered along racial lines, which is being corrected with everything that's going on by the Republicans. If they're off by 50%, that's still 61 seats. 61 seats that we will win without even the votes, right? I mean, this is something. I remember when the Republicans took over the state of Florida in 1998. This was a long-time Democrat state. There was a Republican here and there, where Republicans were in for a while, but it was mostly run by Democrats, the state of Florida. And when Jeb won in 1998, the Republicans won both state houses, and the Republicans have controlled Florida for 28 years. And when the Republicans, everybody loves Florida now, the free state of Florida and all this stuff. But it wasn't that way before. And when the Republicans took over Florida in 1998, they were acting like these Republicans in the other states are acting right now with the redistricting. They changed everything in Florida immediately. And they did a lot of things just to tick off the Democrats. I remember one of the first things they did was rename the turnpike. The Florida Turnpike is called the Ronald Reagan Turnpike. They did that like on the first week, it seemed. And that may seem minor, but they started doing redistricting too, and they didn't like it. And we broke the teachers union, and we had the vouchers and school choice and charter schools. Everything that the Democrats were against, that Republicans stood for in 1998, when the Republicans took over Florida with Jeb, it's too bad Jeb went to the dark side because he's a real beaut now. But back then he was a good guy, and everything that the Democrats were against, the Republicans got through right away. And it's been so long since I've seen Republicans operate like this. It's so refreshing now, and we're winning everything back. Now, I wanted to share, before we take the next break, okay, yeah, this is pretty crazy. This is J. Edgar Comey. And Comey, this is so bizarre to me. Comey not only has been indicted, he's been arrested, and his federal trial in North Carolina is scheduled for the middle of July. And he's been doing nonstop interviews on CNN and MS Now. And he dropped something on CNN yesterday. Let me play this, and I'll play the whole thing, and then I'll talk about it. But this was shocking. He's up there with that, I forgot her name, that he's on there with. It doesn't matter who she is, but it's CNN, and this is Comey yesterday.
Do you still talk to employees at the FBI regularly?
I do.
And what do they, are they afraid to be talking to you?
Yes, matter of fact. They're under siege, and I think about them a lot. I worry about them a lot, both those who are still there and those who've been thrown out while loved ones are sick, while they're struggling financially. There's a lot of pain at the FBI and the FBI community right now, but it's not going to last forever.
Okay, so why would he admit to something like that, Comey? You know, why would he say that he's talking to people at the FBI still? Now, let me tell you, if he's talking to people at the FBI, other than the agents that like have arrested him and all that stuff, right, involving their investigation, those people should be fired on the spot. Who is talking to Comey in the FBI? And I imagine that the Justice Department have surveillance on his phones and everything. So I can't imagine that he's in any type of communication with anyone that the government doesn't know about, Comey. But why would he do that? Why would he go on CNN and say that he's still talking to people at the FBI? And I'll tell you what I think. And I could be very wrong about this, but this is very strange for a guy who's facing federal trial. I think Comey is scared. He sees the big changes that have going on. He sees we've got a real attorney general, acting attorney general. He never thought that he would face trial like this. It's away from his friends in Virginia. And think about this. He knows, you know, we know some of the things that Comey did, right? The meeting with Obama, the coup, what he did with the dossier and John McCain, and, you know, the seashells. But Comey knows everything he's done. And whether or not he feels he's an American hero or not, because he probably views himself as Captain America, like he's the great American patriot for being a part of this coup against Trump that's been going on for 10 years. But he knows everything he's done, and I think he's scared that he's going to be convicted. And he is going out there acting as if he's still in the loop, talking to people inside the FBI to give this impression that he's got support and that he's right. And one thing with this guy, he doesn't want anyone to think he's not connected and in the loop and powerful still. So Comey wants people to think that he's the big man on campus still. That's the only thing I could think of why he would say something like that. But his trial is in July, and he's acting very strange for someone who's facing federal trial in North Carolina, not in. If it was in Virginia, you know how that goes, right? That's where the bureaucracy lives. So the jury, you know, it'd be hopeless. But he's in North Carolina, and this is a whole nother ballgame. There's no other explanation I can think of for the way that he is acting. You're on the air.
Hey, Brian, it's Ben Favano.
Hey, Ben, what's up?
Hey, I was just listening to James Comey, and he's like, it's a real hard time over at the FBI. Will someone please think of the poor FBI agent? You know, like, who are the people he's referring to? Trump kicking them out who, like, spied on him?
Yeah.
You know, these aren't victims. These people are victimizing Americans. And so James Comey is a special kind of evil where he's been in the swamp for so long, and he thinks so highly of himself. No matter what evil or reprehensible action he takes, he believes it's justified, and he's become the very thing he accuses Trump of.
Comey thinks he is the greatest American hero. He thinks he's an American patriot who's deserving of awards. He really does.
I think when he falls asleep at night, you know that famous painting of Washington crossing the Potomac, and he's on the edge of
The Delaware. The Delaware.
Oh, yeah, that's Delaware, right. I think Comey just thinks of himself, that painting, and then replaces his face with George Washington.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's like this great hero, but really he's the evil that made people like Trump possible.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't for people like him, Trump never would have come down the escalator. He's the swamp.
But my theory is that he's nervous about this North Carolina federal case because the trial's been set and it's out of his realm of total control in Virginia or the D.C. Federal court system. And I don't think he would be doing all these interviews and talking like this if he wasn't worried.
Well, I don't know. If you're really worried about your case, the last thing you do is go out and talk.
Yeah, but you're not a pathetically insecure narcissist like Comey.
Brian, I gotta be honest. These charges kind of sound weak. There's only 2 of them. And, Alvin Bragg, it was like 40 trumped-up charges against Trump, and just to see what sticks. And then this guy, we just have 2 and 1.
Well, but they told us at the Justice Department, the prosecutors, that what we're seeing is not everything. We haven't seen everything yet.
So I hope so, because I got to be honest. Like when it comes to prosecuting swamp creatures and taking down like the people who are part of the Russian to the people who did the raid and everything, they've been lacking on that. And honestly,
believe me, if all they had was a photograph on Instagram of the seashells, they wouldn't be going to this. They
went after him the first time, and it didn't materialize into anything. I don't know.
Well, we got the trial date now.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully we'll see. But
All right.
Since Pam Bondi, she's been sabotaging Trump for so long, I wonder how long her work is like continuing to be at play with her not in office.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate the call. We got to run for the break, but you made some good points. Do you or someone you know suffer from neuropathy? Then call Lighthouse Medical. Call them today. You may have neuropathy and don't even know it. Here's some of the main symptoms of neuropathy. There's others, but these are the most common. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, falling down all the time, muscle twitching, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet. Maybe you have no feeling at all. If you have these symptoms, you may have neuropathy, and if you've not been diagnosed, call Lighthouse Medical. Let them examine you and let you know if you have neuropathy. If you do, and if you've already been diagnosed or they diagnose you with neuropathy, they have a treatment that works. Okay? It works. I've seen it work not just on Steve Kane, but many people in this listening audience. They can help you and rid you of your neuropathy symptoms no matter where you're located. If you cannot make it into their office, that's okay. No matter where you are on the planet, they can treat you through telehealth or Zoom calls or whatever. Give Lighthouse Medical a call. Now, when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show so you can take advantage of the no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back.
twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Elevate Fun is the perfect place to have a party or event. With a wide variety of activities to choose from, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And of course, no party is complete without food and drinks. Elevate Fun offers a variety of catering options to choose from. You can speed like never before. Buckle up and experience the rush on our state-of-the-art electric go-karts. Gear up and dominate the battlefield in our next-level laser tag arena. Try bowling reimagined with cosmic lights, interactive scoring, and an atmosphere that turns every frame into a party. Enter our Arcade Unlimited. We've got over 150 games of endless fun. Test your skills, rack on points, and cash in at our massive prize redemption store. Come join
Mike.
us for all the action
All right.
at Elevate Fun at 3342 Northwest Federal Highway in the Treasure Square Mall, Jensen Beach. For more information, contact us at Jensen Beach at elevatefun.com. That's Jensen Beach at ELEVE8fun.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything. But Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always, always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal. The Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, and online SiegelLawGroup.com.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, we're back. I'm Bryant. One more time, Mike. Okay, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Okay, you know, you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that expression, don't meet your heroes, right? Or variations of it? You know, I've met a lot of celebrities in my time. And when I was younger, I used to do that a lot, right? I was very into meeting celebrities when I was younger. And I've met a lot of very famous people. And I've had good experiences for the most part, and a couple of really bad ones, only a very handful of bad ones. But, you know, a couple weeks ago, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, put up that disgusting, illegal photograph of President Trump. Harrison Ford gave the commencement address at Arizona State University. Did you guys see this? Harrison Ford, Han Solo, Indiana Jones. I don't know what the heck Harrison Ford is talking about here, but let's go through this a little bit. I mean, this is just, you know, when Michael Savage says liberalism is a mental disorder, there's never been a truer statement. I mean, that is 100% accurate. I mean, it is a mental disease. Listen to this. This is Indiana Jones, Han Solo, Harrison Ford giving the commencement address at Arizona State University.
Justice. We need to respect and elevate the indigenous peoples that are being marginalized and in many cases killed in cold blood.
What is he talking about? And we marginalized indigenous people who are being killed in cold blood? Does anyone know what people he's talking about? Usually when people are talking about indigenous people, they're talking about Native American Indians. If that's who he's referencing, are Native American Indians, oh man, I wish I was Seminole. Man, you don't have to work if you're Seminole. You got all that money coming in. You know, so I don't know what he means by indigenous. I mean, I'm indigenous. I was born in the United States. Harrison Ford is indigenous. He was born in the United States. But who are these indigenous people that are being killed in cold blood that he's talking about? All right, let's go back to this.
Justice. We need to respect and elevate the indigenous people that are being marginalized and in many cases killed in cold blood. The world you're stepping into, the world my generation left you, is a real mess. We have an essential mandate to protect 30% of the world's land and sea by 2030.
Okay, now he's going into his global warming garbage. How many planes does he own? How many planes has he owned? He's been a private pilot forever. Planes, jets, props, helicopters. Oh my goodness.
30% of the world's land and sea by 2030 to prevent the mass extinction, to slow the warming of our planet. Still, despite new science, new policies, we are still losing nature.
You know what I'd like to know with Harrison Ford? He's slurring his words. He may not fly anymore because he may be too old, or maybe he does. I don't know. But this just blows my mind. It really shows you how out of touch with reality he is. I haven't heard any liberals talking about climate change and global warming in a long time. You know, the liberals have kind of given up the global warming, but he's talking about global warming. So he's giving the commencement address at Arizona State University, and he's talking about climate change, and it's going to cause mass extinction of humans. So what I wonder is this: how did he get to Arizona State University? Did he jet pool? By jet pool, I mean, did he take a commercial flight like normal people? Or did he take a private jet or fly one of his own private planes? You know, if he believes that man-made carbon pollution is going to cause the extinction of the human race, certainly he's still not flying around on private aircraft.
Of our planet, still, despite new science, new policies, we are still losing nature to profiteering, corruption, conflict.
Profiteering? Now he's a communist? Now this isn't the case anymore because he's kind of a washed-up has-been. But do you remember when Harrison Ford used to get paid $20 and $25 million a movie? I remember when Air Force One came out. Remember Air Force One with Harrison Ford? Pretty good movie. And I remember he was interviewed on Larry King Live, and he was getting paid minimum $20 million a movie back then. And now he's talking about profiteering, evil profiteers. And I remember Larry King talking to him about getting paid $20 million for this movie, and he was getting that for every movie. And he said to Harrison Ford, you know, if you had some friend who was making an independent movie, would you do it for scale? And he said, no. He said, if I'm in it, it's going to make enough money to pay me the $20 million. So he said he wouldn't even do a movie for a friend unless he paid him $20 million, which is fine. I'm not criticizing him for that. Make as much money as you can. But now he's out there talking about these evil profiteers. Well, back when he was a movie star, he was one of those profiteers. All right, let's get back to it.
Warming of our planet, still, despite new science, new policies, we are still losing nature to profiteering, corruption, conflict. So find a place for yourself. Whatever talent or ambition you have, find some way to put it to work. Build something that didn't exist yesterday. Stand up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. Bring people together who weren't talking before. That's leadership. That's what moves the needle. Your generation has far more power than you may realize. And if you harness that power, if you find your leadership, your issues, your voice, the world will not be able to ignore you. You will have to be accommodated. This is your time. Own it. Enjoy every second of it. Because What could be worse than getting to the end of your life and realizing that you haven't fully lived it?
Oh, sounds like he's projecting. Oh my goodness, right? Does he sound happy? It's only a couple seconds left. Let's see what his finale is.
Congratulations. Go change the world.
All right, go change the world. Okay. Oh my goodness. What a jerk. You know, I saw a video of Harrison Ford recently walking down the street in New York City, and a guy went to take a selfie with him, and he walked away from the guy. He went the opposite direction. I never such a jerk. Such a jerk. You know, when you're famous as Harrison Ford, and you walk down the sidewalk in New York, you know people are going to notice you. I mean, Mike, and then you pretend that you don't like it. You're just trying to live your life. Put a hat on so people don't recognize you. Listen, if you have high interest credit card debt or any other high interest debt, and you're struggling making those minimum payments and not making a dent, you want to call American Financing. Listen, homeowners, American Financing has a way out for you, all right? They'll put together a real strategic plan to reset your finances so you can reclaim and get your budget back together. American Financing specializes in building plans tailored specifically to your goals and your situation. They look at your current debt and show you exactly how your home's equity can work smarter for you so you can roll all that high interest debt into one simple, manageable monthly payment. On average, their customers save $800 a month. That's $10,000 a year. Start today. You may even be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Give them a call, 866-885-1081. 866-885-1081. That's 866-885-1081. American Financing, America's home for home loans. We'll be right back.
WDJA AM Delray Beach. Also heard in St. Lucie County on 1590 WPSL Port St. Lucie and in Martin County on 1450 WSTU Stewart. Broadcasting from the H2 Ocean Studios. Your natural sea mineral-based healing product since 2001. Burns, cuts, dry eyes, oral care, hair care, reef-safe sun care, and even pet care. H2 Ocean has you covered. Online at h2ocean.com. That's h2ocean.com. We are South Florida's home for the true oldies channel. From the Code Red Roofers Weather Center. Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Call 844-4CODE-RED. CodeRedRoofers.com. Here's your oldies forecast.
Sunshine peeking through the clouds today. Hot and humid. Chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. High today near 90. Tonight, mainly clear, warm, and quite humid. Overnight low in the upper 70s. Saturday, good chance of showers. Look for a high near 90. The overnight low in the upper 70s again. And Sunday, a high in the middle 80s and the overnight low in the upper 70s. A good chance of showers and thunderstorms.
Weather brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Serving South Florida for over 20 years. Promoting integrity over profitability. And focused on doing right over being right. Protect your home or office today with Code Red Roofers. Call 844-4CODE-RED. CodeRedRoofers.com. And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Run crash, Palm Beach County, I-95 southbound. That's south of Woolbright Road and mile marker 56 in Boynton Beach. No roadblock mentioned. From the traffic center, I'm Ray Thomas.
That's your traffic brought to you by PBKC. It's a May payday in the poker room at PBKC. Get in on the action with daily tournaments featuring a $100,000 guaranteed monster multi-flight event running May 14th through the 17th. Jump in with $65 satellites or a $300 buy-in and take your shot. Plus, high hands every 15 minutes from 9 a.m. to midnight, $100,000 progressive weekends, a $15,000 cash giveaway, and non-stop table games. Get all the details now at pbkennelclub.com.
2026 marks a milestone. 50 years of compassionate care from the Visiting Nurse Association of Florida. For 5 decades, families and physicians have trusted VNA of Florida for high-quality home health care delivered with compassion and clinical excellence right where it matters most, at home. VNA delivers expert-tailored home and private care to meet each patient's needs. VNA is a trusted family-owned nonprofit and dedicated to serving patients, supporting families, and strengthening the health of our communities, building lasting relationships with local physicians, hospitals, and the people they serve. Now celebrating 50 years, and they're growing. VNA is actively hiring nurses, therapists, and home health professionals ready to make a meaningful impact every day. If you or a loved one need care at home, or if you're looking for a rewarding healthcare career, discover VNA of Florida. Call Online at bnaflorida.org.
All right, coming back, guys.
Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not even real. I'm in and out in 15 minutes. I get the results the next day in my email box. And they also send it to my doctor. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalford Plaza. It's where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call Any Lab Test Now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, we're back. If you're on hold, stand by. It's Friday, Open Manga Mike Friday, open phones. You can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. Have you seen all the controversy about this new Troy movie? Okay. You know, the last Troy was like, I guess they kind of make this movie every 20 years or so. And they have this weird cast. Elliot Page is playing, I don't know who. They're saying not Achilles, but someone else. And they're trying to make this a racial thing because Helen of Troy is black in the new movie. In fact, this is Sunny Hostin on The View talking about that. Okay, listen.
This idea was also explored in a book called Black Athena. I think people should read it, which argues that classical Greek culture is heavily indebted to Afro-Asiatic and Near Eastern roots.
Really? Oh, really? The Greeks are black? Now, I got to tell you that, now my mother is adopted, okay? But on my mother's side, we're from a family of Greeks, and I mean the real deal, okay? You know, like you, Mike, with the Italians. We're like the real Greeks, and I can look up my great-grandfather at Ellis Island and even see the boat that he came here on. And if I told you what the last name was of my Greek family, which I'm not going to do, it is so Greek that they could be in Troy. I mean, and you know what? They're not African, okay? But anyway, back to this.
This idea was also explored in a book called Black Athena. I think.
Oh, I got to get that. Is it on Kindle, Black Athena? Oh my goodness.
People should read it, which argues that classical Greek culture is heavily indebted to Afro-Asiatic and Near Eastern roots. I actually taught Greek mythology to 8th graders. And so I covered this. So people that are saying that Helen of Troy could not possibly be played by a black woman don't know history.
But what is it? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. So the Greeks are now black Africans. Oh, isn't that nice? That's insane. You want to talk about, you know, she used to teach this, she says, right, brainwashing. No one has a problem with the character being black at all. The problem is the actress is not good looking, okay? You know, if this were Halle Berry in her prime, if this were Whitney Houston in her prime, like in the Bodyguard days or something, people would be like, oh, okay, I'll go to war for Whitney Houston in the Bodyguard era. Or Halle Berry when she did Monsters Ball or something, or James Bond. But this actress, she's just not pretty. You got to be, to play Helen of Troy, you've got to be so beautiful, people will sacrifice their lives for you, and she's not good looking. That's the problem. But the real problem is Elliot Page, the actor formerly known as actress Ellen Page. All the guys in Troy run around shirtless. And no one wants to see Elliot Page running around with their shirt off, okay? That's the other problem. But here's the thing. With Chris Nolan, who is, I think, one of the most overrated directors, but to be eligible for an Oscar, okay? Listen to this. To be eligible to win Best Picture at the Oscars, at least one non-white, non-straight lead or significant in a significant role. The character doesn't have to be gay. The actor has to be gay. Well, that's easy because that's like 3/4 of the guys in Hollywood. But they have to be non-white. So a main character has to be non-white and non-straight. At least 30% of the minor roles have to be non-white and non-straight actors. At least 2 departments working on the film have to be headed by non-white, non-straight people. Okay? That's what's going on out there in Hollywood, and they wonder why they're going out of business. But everyone makes a big deal about Chris Nolan. And I'm here to tell you that Chris Nolan sucks. Okay? His movies suck. And I can say that because I've seen them. Now, he's made some movies that are okay. I like Inception. But, here's the thing with Chris Nolan. I'm not into the Dark Knight Batman and Dark Knight Rises, and I'm not into that stuff. So, Here's the thing with Chris Nolan, okay? His movies make no sense. Oppenheimer, mediocre, and frankly, when I saw Oppenheimer, he does this thing with the cameras that gives you motion sickness. You know what I'm talking about? When he shows Oppenheimer and he's talking and he does all these weird things. You're not supposed to make the audience physically ill with motion sickness when they're watching a movie. 2 of his other big movies, Tenet. Have you ever seen Tenet, Mike? Okay, I'm a big science fiction fan, and Tenet is a time travel movie. I have watched Tenet. It makes no sense, the movie Tenet. I understand the process of how they travel through time, which is very different and unique. I have watched Tenet just to try to figure out Tenet. Because when I heard about Tenet, everyone, oh, Tenet, Christopher Nolan, you got to see Tenet. And I saw it, and I'm like, what happened? How did this movie? I've watched Tenet, as much as I don't like it, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 or 9 times. Not only have I watched it that many times, I've even watched people explaining the ending of Tenet multiple times. People put videos online. No one can get Tenet. I have watched so many videos of people explaining the end of Tenet. Then I've gone back and watched Tenet, and I still don't know what happened at the end. And his other piece of garbage, Interstellar. Have you seen Interstellar? What the heck was that? Have any of you seen Interstellar? It's the same thing. What is going on at the end of Interstellar? What's that thing with him looking through the bookshelf and his daughter's on the other side? What is that all about? How is he talking to his daughter through the bookshelf, pushing books around? Right? That movie, it makes no sense. So I don't know why everybody puts Chris Nolan up on this pedestal, but he sucks. And you know what? This movie is going to be a disaster, and it has nothing to do with Helen of Troy being black. It's mainly Elliot Page. No one wants to watch a movie with Elliot Page running around with their shirt off for 2 hours. The last Troy, the one with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, I actually saw that in the theater with my wife. And everybody in that movie, man, they're all good looking except the one king that, what's the name of the king that Achilles works for? I forgot his name. Other than that, everybody in the movie is good looking. The men and the women, that's why people go and watch these movies. They want to watch a movie with people they want to have sex with. And I got news for you. No one wants to see Elliot Page with their shirt off in a movie, running around. Even though they're not playing Achilles. I don't know who they're playing. Hector? I don't know. I don't care. But I'm not going to watch it. Now, when Elliot Page was Ellen Page, I did like some things she was in, right? She did, what was that movie she was in where she got pregnant that made her famous years ago? And then she did that Netflix TV show, Ellen Page with the monkeys. I forgot what it was called. That was very good. I watched that. But no. And don't let them play the race card. No one cares if Helen of Troy is black. But you're talking about people that are going to war because a woman is so beautiful, they all want her. So the actress can be black, Asian, Eskimo, but they've got to be beautiful, not looking like this unattractive actress. I'm surprised that they did not cast that weird woman that was in Wicked, that played the Wicked Witch in Wicked. I'm shocked that that's not who they picked. All right, anyway, if you're on hold, stand by. My name's Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. And who do I have to tell you guys about? Oh, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. Holy smoke. You know, I was surprised. You know, Jamie told me a lot of people, they miss the tax deadline. They don't file, and they don't file an extension. And I get it. You know, things happen. Things happen. And what happens after people do that is they start to panic. They're worried. Every time the mailman comes, they're afraid that they're going to get a certified letter in the mail. There's all kinds of problems, and people worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Call Jamie Levac. If you missed the tax deadline, you didn't file an extension, call Jamie Levac. He'll help you out. He'll take care of it for you. He's very, very good at what he does. Also, if you owe back taxes to the IRS, call Jamie Levac, okay? He'll work it out for you. He's very good. In fact, I think it's even safe to say this is his specialty. And I've talked to people who he's helped out with this that owe back taxes, and he takes care of it. He does a very good job. And not only, there was one of our listeners who you hear in one of the commercials, and this is only one because sometimes people don't want to talk about their taxes in commercials, where he owed money to the IRS. Jamie went back and reviewed it and found out the IRS owed him. Can you imagine if that's something that's crazy, getting checks from the IRS when he thought he owed the IRS? So here's his number. You can call or text Jamie Levac at Swift Tax, 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. We'll be right back.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, this is Joan from Tampa Bay. I just got to say, Jupiter Joe Thomas, I called him. I almost fell off my chair. A 5-year annuity, I get a hefty monthly allowance, and I don't even touch my principal.
I thank you, Joan in Tampa Bay, for taking my advice. And those of you out there that have not yet done it, take advantage of the no-charge consultation that Jupiter Joe Thomas offers. I'm going to give you the number. It's 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online, jupiterjoe.com. And Joan in Tampa Bay, I think you might be the new Jupiter Joe Thomas commercial.
Well, it's a win-win situation. You never lose your principal.
Exactly. Yeah, guys, again, the number for Joe Thomas, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. Everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
Open enrollment may be over, but that doesn't mean your Medicare questions are. If you're turning 65, new to Medicare, moving, or qualifying for a special enrollment period, you may still have options. Don't guess when it comes to your healthcare coverage. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. She'll walk you through your Medicare Advantage, your supplements, and your prescription drug plans. Then help you find coverage that fits your needs and your budget. You don't have to figure this out alone. Call Debbie today at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. Debbie can help you with your Medicare no matter where you're located in the state of Florida. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. I Will Advisors, helping you make Medicare simple.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, and anywhere in the world at True Oldies.
All right. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Marty from
Okay.
I'm just calling about that Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And he scared me at first. He looked like a 90-year-old woman.
Yes.
And but anyway, indoctrinating our schools like that, the only thing scarier than that was the crowd cheering for him.
Well, Arizona State University is one of the most liberal schools in the country.
Yeah. One more thing I was going to ask you is...
Here we go.
Electoral thing with, Voting Act 65. I'm nervous.
That's okay. I'm nervous too.
Voting Act of 65.
Uh-huh.
I looked it up, and it doesn't say anything about being able to choose who you vote for. It just says that people are allowed to vote, and that you can up and choose who.
No, what they did, the Voting Rights Act, it was, I don't know if it was 64, 65, I can't remember. But what the Democrats used to do is they used to come up with all of these things to stop black people from voting because black people voted Republican, right? Like, I remember when that movie Selma came out about Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King led a group of black Republicans across that bridge in Selma, and they were attacked by Democrats, okay, the Democrat Klan. And they would do things that were crazy. Like, they would have, this is an actual thing they would do. They would show a jar of jelly beans, and you'd have to guess how many jelly beans were in it, and then if you were right, then you could vote, right? They used to do all these things to black people to stop them from voting, or they would give them a citizenship test, and of course they would never pass it, even if they got the answers right. So what the Voting Rights Act did was stop all of these things that Democrats were using to stop black people from voting, mainly. And what happened is blacks used to be Republican back when all that stuff was going on, and they got conned into becoming Democrats, and they used all that stuff to help the former Klansmen in the Democrat Party. It's a really sad thing. But, as I said earlier this week, ending these race-based congressional districts, that is the last bit of segregation in this country, these segregated congressional districts. We have finally rid our country of the last vestige of systemic segregation. So black people should be celebrating that.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. Brian, thank you for being easy with me, and I appreciate you. I'll try and call again another time.
All right, good, good. You won't be as nervous next time, I promise. All right, now I wanted to, you know, I had a couple things here with the ladies on The View. You know, the other day, President Trump had a press conference in the White House with women talking about something, healthcare, and Dr. Oz was there. And Dr. Oz was talking about people need to have more babies. And that is true. And, you know, I've talked about this a lot on the program, where the birth rate and the death rate in this country are about the same. And the reason that is because of all the gays and all this weird gender stuff and the pronoun stuff. People of childbearing years are not having the kind of sex that results in reproduction like they used to. And a lot of the birth rate are the illegals, which, you know, with the anchor babies and all that stuff. So when Dr. Oz said Americans need to start having more babies, absolutely. And The View, they were talking about that this week. And of course, Sunny Hostin, who now tells us that the Greeks were black Africans, it's interesting. They were talking about Dr. Oz and the president encouraging people to have more children. Let me.
Go ahead. I'll just quickly say, because I think everyone's making great points. I think two things can be true at the same time. I think that the intent can be questioned behind these new Trump policies. There was no acknowledgement of the black maternal mortality crisis, because black women die at a much higher.
What is that? The black what?
These new Trump policies. There was no acknowledgement of the black maternal mortality crisis.
The black maternal mortality crisis? Have any of you heard any of that? The black maternal mortality crisis? Oh my goodness.
Go ahead. I'll just quickly say, because I think everyone's making great points. I think two things can be true at the same time. I think that the intent can be questioned behind these new Trump policies. There was no acknowledgement of the black maternal mortality crisis, because black women die at a much higher rate than any other demographic.
Black women die at 2 times the rate of white women during childbirth. Where did they get this at? Where does this come from? And I heard Joy Reid, and was that Joy, or not Joy Reid, Joy Behar and Whoopi saying 2 times. It reminded me, what was that song? Who was the group that did the remake? Remember the girl, she went to, they had some tax fraud problem. The one where they did the remake of Killing Me Softly, and then the guys would say 2 times every time, you know, Killing Me Softly, 2 times, remember that? It's kind of what that is. I never heard of this thing before.
These new Trump policies, there was no acknowledgement of the black maternal mortality crisis, because black women die at a much higher rate than any other demographic. Than any other demographic, and he doesn't seem to be. This administration is not concerned about that. I think it's
maybe because it's made up and not true.
True that he wants Trump babies, which implies he wants American-born white children.
Well, we want American babies. I didn't hear anything about the white. And by the way, Sunny Hostin is like as white as I am. Have you seen her?
He wants Trump babies, which implies he wants American-born white children.
He wants toddler white nationalists.
That may be part of the intent.
Oh yeah, okay. So everything with Sunny Hostin is through this prism of race. Well, I wanted to share this, okay? This is one of my favorite things of Sunny Hostin on The View. And this is what a lot of this has. You know, you've heard of white liberal guilt. She has liberal black guilt. And she went on that show a couple years back that I'm not doing well with the names today. The college professor that was Obama's friend, that remember he broke into his own house and the neighbors called the police and they had the beer summit. You guys know who I'm talking about? He does this show where he brings on celebrities and does their family tree, and there was none better than Sunny Hostin. Okay, so this is Sunny Hostin finding out that she is descendant not of slaves, but of slave owners. Listen.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You come from, you know what? There's no slaveholders in my family tree. I promise you that, Sunny Hostin.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
Probably like her whole life is a lie. Her whole identity is being descendant of slaves, and now she finds out that the opposite is true, that she's descendant of slave owners.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for her children to find out that they're the descendants of slave owners.
To know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living.
Yeah, your ancestors. Maybe what Sunny Hostin should do is offer 3/4 of her salary. I don't want to be greedy and say, maybe she should offer 3/4 of her salary from The View to go towards reparations, towards the people that her family owned. What do you guys think? Should Sunny Hostin take 3/4 of her salary from The View and pay reparations to the descendant of the people that her family once owned? That sounds pretty good to me. All right, listen, oh my goodness, I looked at the clock. We are way late for the break. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. From the All-Year Cooling Weather Center, South Florida's #1 choice for same-day AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
Sunshine peeking through the clouds today. Hot and humid. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. High today near 90. Tonight, mainly clear, warm, and quite humid. Overnight low in the upper 70s. Saturday, good chance of showers. Look for a high near 90. The overnight low in the upper 70s again. And Sunday, a high in the middle 80s and the overnight low in the upper 70s. A good chance of showers and thunderstorms.
Weather brought to you by All Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Hit and run crash, Palm Beach County, I-95 southbound. That's south of Woolbright Road at mile marker 56 in Boynton Beach. No roadblock mentioned. From the traffic center, I'm Ray Thomas.
That's your traffic brought to you by PBKC. It's a great week to visit PBKC, watch, wager, and win on exciting OTB action, including the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, this Saturday. Make reservations today for the Paddock Restaurant, your go-to for non-stop OTB and sports with over 140 HD TVs, 3 big screens, delicious food, and friendly service. It's Preakness Day this Saturday at PBKC. Get the details on events, dinner shows, and more at pbkennelclub.com.
Hi, it's Dr. Philip Appleton. You've been hearing my commercials about bye-bye pain, my laser weight treatment, but today's commercial and today's spot is going to be on Tom LaPorta Roofing. What an experience I've had with him and his company. They've done a few of my friends' houses and my son and my house. There's never a downtime. They're old school, which means call them up, they'll be there. How many times have you called somebody up and they never show up, or they give you an excuse? Weather, traffic, whatever. Tom LaPorta, what a class act. The workmanship, the magnificent teamwork they have. I recommend them 100%.
Give Tom LaPorta at LaPorta Roofing a call. This number rings directly to his cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. 954-604-4602. LaPortaRoofing.com. They'll never sell you a roof you don't need.
You're on the air. What's your name?
my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always, always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal. The Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney I've ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound.
No, it's all BS. The mortality rate is not twice for blacks than it is for whites. It's not true.
FLA 3782 and online SiegelLawGroup.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 49 years on the air.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian, the Steve Kane Show. All right, our number 888-465-2631. By the way, you know that thing about the mortality rate for childbirth with black, that is so made up that the mortality rate is twice that for black women than white women. That's totally made up. That's not true. There may have been a time when that was true, 1873 or something. I don't know, but it's not true now. But one thing that has been true is the mortality rate for unborn black children has always been higher than unborn white children because the abortion rate among African Americans was always much higher than for white women and white babies. That's true, but they don't want to talk about that. All right, now did you see this kid from Texas who testified in Congress the other day? This kid's going to end up in Congress one day. You only have to be 25 to be in the House of Representatives, and this guy, he is on his way. He went toe-to-toe with the Democrats. But he brought something up that is really frightening. If he brought this up and he went to school in California or New York or some other liberal place, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But he's a junior in high school in Texas. Listen to this. If you're on hold, hang in there. By the way, it is Open MAGA Mike Friday. You can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. It is open phones on Friday. This guy, he's a junior in high school in Texas, and he's testifying at this congressional committee. His name's Brandon Gill, 16 years old.
Is it true that your school's libraries offer Islamic literature like the Quran and other things?
Yes, so McMillan Junior High and Wiley ISD offers a Quran but no Bible available.
But no Bible. So there's a Quran, but the Bible's not allowed.
Correct.
Is that true in multiple libraries?
From what I know, confirmed, it's McMillan Junior High is one that I know of. I can look at the other libraries and submit them to you if I find any other findings.
Okay. Have you talked to the school about why they would allow a Quran but not a Bible?
So I haven't. The principals actually run away from me and hide, so I can't have a discussion with my principals because I act like an adult and they act like children.
Yeah. Well, you very much are acting like an adult. They probably don't want to be on the record with that policy, given how egregious it is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? When I was in high school, we didn't have Bibles in the public library. I remember I couldn't believe this, thinking back on it. At the time, I thought it was cool because I was, 15 or 16. But we actually had in my high school library in Fort Lauderdale, they had The Joy of Sex. And I couldn't believe it was, thinking back on it, I can't believe it was I wonder if it's still in the library at the school. It was not checked out much, but it was one of the most viewed books in the whole library because The Joy of Sex has graphic illustrations on every sex position in existence. And it was in the school library, but no Bibles. But this kid here, and what he's talking about with the Bible, no Bible in the Quran, we're in big trouble in Texas. Democrats have been trying to turn Texas blue forever and a day. And they have tried every tactic that you can possibly imagine. Let me play this clip again. Because this is, if you're on hold, hang in there.
True that your school's libraries offer Islamic literature like the Quran and other things?
Yes, so McMillan Junior High and Wiley ISD offers a Quran but no Bible available.
Right, okay. So why would they have a Quran but no Bible? Why would they have a Quran but no Bible? It's simple. This is part of their Turn Texas Blue campaign. This is the new version of it. They tried everything. They tried everything. Remember, they had that one state senator who wore the pink shoes and the sneakers, and she talked for 6 days, and they've tried this and they've tried that. They've had idiots run for this office and that office. You know, Savannah Hernandez, who is that Turning Point USA reporter that was attacked by those liberals a few weeks ago, that had been arrested by Kash Patel for assaulting her, for beating her up, the whole family, father, mother, and the daughter. She did a piece recently on Texas. You know, we remember all this talk about the mosque, and she went to that community that they're building. It is a massive community. So what's going on in Texas is what's happened to the UK. People say this country's too big. They can't take it over. Well, they got New York City, right? Mamdani. And they are moving, I don't even know how many, but they are moving Muslims to Texas in alarming rates. And their plan is to use that, the Islamification of Texas, to turn Texas blue. And the way the Electoral College system works, if Texas goes back to being Democrat, and it was for a long time, until George Bush, G.W. Bush, became governor, if they go blue, that's it. They know it. They have so many electoral votes. They have that. They have California, unless we turn California red, which we're on the path to doing. But there's a major, they've given up on the standard turn Texas blue. They don't even talk about it anymore. So their new tactic is the Islamification of Texas. And that's why there's a Quran in a junior high school and no Bible. It's part of, it's happening. And if you can't have first off, the Bible should be in every public school. Okay? It's part of American culture. It's very important. But there's no reason to have, if you can't have a Bible, how can you justify the Holy Quran? All right, let's take some calls. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Carlos, Portenders.
Hey, Carlos.
Hey, those people that now figuring out that we're from Europe too. And
yes.
All those South Americans to come up here, and they think that the Pilgrim Europeans were bad. The Conquistador Europeans were even worse.
Mm-hmm.
The stories that my grandfather used to tell me, what they used to do to the black slaves in his country, makes Roots look like a walk in the park.
Yeah, I talk about, AOC, who they say is the front runner to be their nominee in 2028 for president, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a descendant of the most famous, the Conquistador Cortez, and the native people of South America are extinct because of her ancestor.
That's what they don't get it. They don't know this knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll make sure they do.
Just we're swapping one European for another European, and you don't want to see this European.
Yeah, but see, the liberals, it's not Europeans they have a problem with; it's white Europeans.
Right.
So they view the Spanish as not being white, so they're brown, so they like that. They like those Europeans.
They were the first to bring slaves, the Spaniards.
Correct. Correct. That's right. That's why, and I'm telling you, as Cuba gets more in the news, like if you go and look at Nick Shirley's reporting in Havana last week, and he was interviewing Cubans on the street, almost all of them are black Cubans. They're all descendants of Spanish slaves. Cuba, yeah.
And who's running it? The Cubans.
Well, not for much longer. Looks like we're going to be running it soon. But yeah, you're right. And they've been oppressing the black Cubans forever. Mm-hmm. That's correct.
I think.
All right, Carlos, you take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joe.
Yeah, go ahead. Speak up. I can.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. All right. We're talking about.
I know you're on the Bluetooth. You got to talk. You got to have your mouth closer to the receiver. You're just too far from the phone.
Is that better?
It's a little bit better, yeah, but just speak up.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we're talking about this location of Texas. What's happening in the UK is absolutely disgusting. And if you go on today, there's a march in the UK on Tommy Robinson, the Unite Britain, Unite UK.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd love, I know you're calling from England, and I can tell, and you got, but we. Okay, I know. So we got a really bad connection. So I apologize to that, but I know, sadly, your country over there is pretty much gone. I mean, it's over.
Yeah, and I don't have I'm actually
Well, listen, I'm gonna have to move on just because we don't have a good connection. But call me again sometime. Maybe the cell will be a better connection. All right, because I know it's sad. It's nice to talk to an Englishman. There's not very many of them left. All right. Coastal weight loss. I'm looking outside. It was raining all night long, but I don't know. Maybe it's going to rain later, but it looks like a beach day here in South Florida this morning. I'm looking outside, and it is. It's a sunny, beautiful day outside. And if you want to look good at the pool, you want to look good at the beach, you want to lose the weight. I talk so much about all this weight I've lost and kept off with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. This shirt I'm wearing is not a new shirt. I've had this shirt for a long time. But before I lost all this weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, this shirt was so tight on me. And it was almost like this shirt I'm wearing. It's a button-up kind of semi-Hawaiian kind of shirt, like a cabana shirt. It was almost like a straight jacket or a girdle. It was so tight on me before I lost all this weight. And I wear it now. It fits like it's supposed to fit, and it's comfortable. It used to be tight. I probably stretched this shirt out before I lost all this weight. Listen, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation. They can help you lose weight no matter where you are located. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hey, South Florida. I'm Hal, and my wife Jen and I own the Coastal Consignment Boutique at 5716 South Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, and Sundays, 12 to 5. We offer instant buyouts, and we sell, trade, and consign. We also make house calls for larger collection. Looking for new or pre-loved clothing? Come see us at the Coastal Consignment Boutique at 5716 South Dixie Highway. Are we calling Barry at the 8 or now?
I haven't heard from him.
So probably 8 then, right?
Whatever time, 8:15?
Yeah, so we'll do coming out the 8:15 break.
But like I said, I don't know if Joe's coming or not, so we'll find out.
I think that if I try to split the things from where Joe usually comes in, the breaks will have been too long. So.
Yeah, so whatever, it's okay.
But yeah, we got Joe at Barry, maybe Joe, and then the other bit. So we're taking all of our breaks.
Yeah.
So we'll do it every time we come.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. You heard the thing? Yeah. Well, good. Finally. So I don't know what to do.
I told Craig. Craig said, please, next time you come in, tell Mike ahead of time so he'll tell Craig to come in, and he'll come in and witness it himself and all that. Well, not witness it, but do it like real time, fix it real time, and try to figure it out.
Okay.
So.
See, I think, when you're on hold, I told you hear the delay.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe they're still hearing the delay. You know what I mean?
Because when I was doing the test thing, it immediately sounded like I was in the echo chamber test.
Well, I'm glad you heard it, because I heard it when we first did it. Then I didn't hear it when I went in the hall.
So I was like, okay, hall, me and you both didn't hear it, and then now I heard it in the hall. I was like, yeah, there it is.
And I can tell they're hearing it, because you can tell because they're a little off when they they haven't said anything about it, but yeah.
It does throw off if you hear it. Yeah, like I know you heard it. I finally hear it.
Yeah. Good. Okay, I'm not crazy.
No. Some callers, yes.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. You know, what's going on in California is amazing, okay? I mean, you know, the latest polls, Steve Hilton is still in first place, so he is, you know, so he's definitely moving forward. And Spencer Pratt is single digits away from Karen Bass now. Single digits. I think about that. And everyone knows, even though they're saying he's independent, he's a Republican. It's a, hold on, I'm just, okay. Everybody, it says independent, but everybody knows he's a Republican, okay? So, you know, the thing with Spencer Pratt, he is, that is one race to watch. You know, and if he wins in that mayor's race, or even comes close and doesn't, and these polls, I'm telling you, these polls are not figuring in the fear of ICE and what impact that's going to have on the Democrat turnout in Los Angeles. And Spencer Pratt, you know, he is running such a brilliant campaign. TMZ tried to sabotage him. I covered that yesterday, saying he didn't live in that trailer, he's living in a hotel. And then TMZ did a poll on their own website with their own people asking if that story that they shared, did it make Spencer Pratt a hypocrite from his campaign ad? And almost everyone said no. He has strong support out there. He did another video yesterday, Spencer Pratt, where he showed a kid's park, a playground, and showed how all the meth heads and crackheads and homeless had taken it over. And it's pretty scary. I mean, they're out there doing meth and everything in the middle of the day. They're totally fearless. And, you know, while we don't, in rare instances, do we cover mayor's races. You know, everyone's going to cover the New York mayor's race always because, you know, that's important. But I don't think ever, the mayor's race in LA has been a national story. In my recollection, I don't think it's ever been. Now, I'm not saying things have not happened in LA that have not been national stories, but what I'm talking about is the mayor's race in Los Angeles. I have no memory of that ever becoming a national story. And the reason it's a national story is because Spencer Pratt is a viable candidate. He has a chance. And, you know, when you're in a situation like he's in and you have a chance, it makes it a horse race. And that's what the media love, and that's what's making it a national story. And now that he's only 8 points behind Karen Bass, and, you know, and you know that's a left-leaning poll. You know, and a lot of people that are supporting him or will vote for him if they were polled in LA probably would lie because they would be afraid to let people know that they were voting. So I know I don't usually play clips from The View at all, but I got one more. Do you guys mind if I play one more clip from The View because it's about Spencer Pratt? So this is The View. They're panicked over Spencer Pratt over on The View. Listen.
The fires disastrously, but actually being qualified to take on that role was hard.
Karen Bass will be running against Spencer Pratt. She is. I just want to make this point. So Karen Bass has a JFK Profile and Courage Award.
Okay, now they're going through Karen Bass's resume. The Profiles in Courage Award, Mayor Pete got that award, okay? I mean, you know, the Profiles in Courage, you know, they don't require that as reading anymore. But when Senator Kennedy wrote Profiles in Courage, it was about people. And it was about senators who went against the party establishment and did what they thought was right against the party establishment. When has Karen Bass ever shown any courage and gone up against the Democrat Party? Are you kidding me? How could she be deserving of such an award?
Take on that role was hard.
Karen Bass will be running against Spencer Pratt. She is. I just want to make this point. So Karen Bass has a JFK Profile and Courage Award. She navigated California through the worst economic crisis since the Depression.
Yeah, and made it worse when she didn't have water in the fire hydrants and people lost everything.
Spencer Pratt was Snapchatter of the Year at the 2018 Shorty Awards. Yeah, just that's all.
Well,
I don't even know what that means. But what years ago when he was a reality star? I mean, they're making this, Spencer Pratt, he had a very good response to this, because they call him a reality star, and he says, I'm the only one that's living in reality, and he went through all the problems out there, and hey, listen, the star of Bedtime for Bonzo went on to be the governor of California, Ronald Reagan, and then president. So, a lot of people from Schwarzenegger, right? I mean, come on, and he went on to become governor, and look at his background. And his dad was a Nazi, by the way, on top of it. But, they are panicked. In fact, the Supreme Court, see, we're winning on every single level, okay? So we've gotten rid of the racially segregated congressional districts, right? We've redone the congressional maps in all these Republican states, including Florida. Republican Steve Hilton, endorsed by President Trump, is in first place in the governor's race. Spencer Pratt is single digits away from Karen Bass. Things are changing. And now listen to this. A big thing happened this week at the Supreme Court that, and I should say no one's talking about it. There's a lot of things happening in the news with China and Iran. So a lot of things happen that are not getting covered, okay? Listen to this. In a major development at the U.S. Supreme Court, there's been an indication that the Supreme Court is going to invalidate state laws that allow ballots to be counted after Election Day. Justice Alito, when these arguments were being heard, Justice Alito, who's part of the majority, Justice Alito said, it's called Election Day for a reason. And, the thing about the Democrats, they don't have rallies like we have, right? So what they do, what they do. They know what the results are on Election Day, and then all of a sudden they're counting ballots for weeks, right? Until they get the number they want. So the Supreme Court and this may not apply in local elections, but it will apply in federal elections. So the Supreme Court is about to rule that ballots have to be counted on Election Day. It's called Election Day for a reason. Mike Johnson said that they're doing the Save America Act is going to pass through reconciliation. They're not making a big deal about it because they don't want everybody to kind of sneaking it through. But what they're doing is the Save America Act. The House is going to vote it through again, which will be the fourth time the House has approved it. And they're making it part of the budget. They're adding some financial incentives which make it a budget item. And the budget items don't have to worry about the filibuster and go through reconciliation. So you're going to wake up one day soon, and the Save America Act is going to be passed through the Senate, and it's going to be on Trump's desk ready to sign. So we're going to get the Save America Act through. They're going to have to count all the ballots on Election Day. We've gotten rid of the race-based congressional districts, which the American Spectator is now saying that the Democrats, 122 of their seats are believed to be from the racial gerrymandering that they've had going on. We've got a Republican frontrunner for governor in California, and we got a Republican MAGA guy who's single digits away from the sitting mayor of Los Angeles about to win. Everything is going in our favor. Everything. And we've had major primary wins in just the last week. Things could not be going better for us. The Democrats are in big, big trouble. And there's think about it. When's the last time it's been a good day for the Democrats? Think about it. When is the last time it's been a good day for a Democrat? And you've noticed in the last few days, they've said that their front runner for president is AOC. Nate Silver even had a poll about it. So what does that tell you? No credible Democrat wants to run for president. All they've got is this idiot AOC who says the American Revolution was fighting against billionaires. That's what you learn when you get a commie education at Boston U, I guess. Now listen, it's Friday. Are you in pain? Go see Dr. Appleton today. If you can't do it today, go tomorrow, Saturday, and say bye-bye to your pain. Remember, Dr. Appleton's appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. His laser wave pain treatment without any shots, any injections, without any pills, without any surgery or downtime will rid you of every kind of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, bursitis, bone-on-bone, gout, TMJ, pre- and post-surgical pain, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica. Some of these are the ones he's rid me of. Spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated discs, acute and chronic pain, and many more. Call Dr. Philip Appleton. Go see him today. Go see him on Saturday and say bye-bye to your pain like I've done 7 times. Here's his number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, we'll take our break for the top of the hour. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. 2 hours down, 1 to go. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break.
DJ
At the next break, yeah. Hey. All right. Okay, all right. Did you have anywhere you wanted to go? Yeah. So I brought that up. I was saving that. Okay. I don't know, like I said, I really don't know what the situation is, so, with the phone, so we're going to have to play it by ear here. Okay. All right, hold on. I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, hold on. Mike. Oh.
That's your traffic brought to you by PBKC. It's a payday at the poker room with PBKC. Get in on the action with daily tournaments featuring a $100,000 guaranteed monster multi-flight event running May 14th through the 17th. Jump in with $65 satellites or $300 buy-in and take your shot. Plus, high-ends every 15 minutes from 9 a.m. to midnight, $100,000 progressive weekends, a $15,000 cash giveaway, and non-stop table games. Get all the details now at ppkennelclub.com. Hey, are you tired of security cameras that cost too much, are hard to install, or just don't deliver the protection you need? Well, there's a smarter way to protect your home with Sloan facial recognition cameras. Their advanced technology recognizes familiar faces and alerts you to when specific people arrive. It even connects seamlessly with your alarm and smart devices. Imagine pulling up to your home and your lights turn on, your door unlocks, no keys, no hassle, just total convenience. And for a
years of compassionate care from the Visiting Nurse Association of Florida. For 5 decades, families and physicians have trusted VNA of Florida for high-quality
Mike,
home health
are those the spots for this hour?
compassion and clinical excellence.
That was last hour? Oh, I missed. Okay, it's going to be a busy hour. Okay. Are there any this hour? All right.
Needs. VNA is a trusted family-owned nonprofit and call 772-295-5739. Online at vnaflorida.org.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, we're back. The 8 o'clock hour has begun, and of course, it's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
Oh boy, I tell you, it's a great morning. A lot has happened, so I'm not sure if you have somewhere you want to go because I got a lot to cover. Well, there's a lot to celebrate. Well, you know, I wanted to talk about the China trip. I opened the show at 6 about the China trip, but there were some other things about it. You know, there were some things about it I just didn't get to. You know, and I want to recap it too for people that missed the beginning of the show, because a lot has happened with the China trip, and I don't think people really realize it. And I watched Hannity's interview with Trump, which I thought was kind of lacking. It was not the best interview I've seen, I'll tell you that. And well, you know, I want to give Hannity a break because he seemed tired, and if I traveled to China and with the time change and everything, I can kind of understand a little bit. You know what I mean? I can give him a break because I think. I think I would say they were tired, is what I would say.
I think that's what it was, but it sounded like slosh.
Yeah, but I wanted to go over this because I opened up the show at 6 talking about China, and I just, you know, I watched all the coverage of it, and the media coverage is mostly the media talking about themselves. And this trip, the main things that happened were really not discussed, okay? They really were not discussed. And this is what I think happened at it. I think this is probably, Steve, the most important trip that a president of the United States has taken to China since Nixon went and opened it up with Kissinger. And I'll tell you what I think happened. And President Trump, he said it, and no one really even asked him about it. China agreed to buy oil from Texas, Alaska, and from the United States as a whole. And what Trump is doing is resetting the entire global oil economy and phasing out not just Iran but but the rest of the Middle East.
You're not only right on the money, but it's what he's been doing for the last 6 months to a year.
Yes.
Been in there.
Yeah, and he went over there to China to let China know. So the oil is all going to come from the United States and Venezuela now, our client state that we conquered. And that was the main reason, that the main thing he did was that, not the Boeing jets and all that. The main thing is, and it's part of a major global shift. The problems in the Middle East, I know all these people, these anti-Semites, want to blame Israel all the time. Israel's not the problem. It's Iran and Islamic terrorism, and all the Islamic terrorism is paid for by oil money. So he's making the United States and Venezuela the new OPEC, right? The new center of the global oil economy. China has no oil. So that's number one, and that's part of the Mideast peace plan. The other thing I think he told and made an agreement with on China was stay the heck away from the Western Hemisphere. You're not welcome in North or South America. We just took Venezuela. Stay out of it. You're not going to get the Panama Canal, and Cuba's next. And I think those were the two big things. The oil first is what the trip was about, not all these other things that people are talking about. Which, yeah. All right, well, we agree. Well, I'll throw it out to the audience. I'm sorry. Rarely do we agree on things like this.
Yeah, because they're liberal, because the liberals a little slack this morning, because they're in shock and they're depressed. You know how nasty they get when they realize the jig is up.
Yes, that
phrase.
An old one.
Jig is up.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. So, and then the other thing that happened. So that's what the China trip was about. And I'm gonna give Hannity total slack on. I don't, I'm always hard on Hannity, but I think it's more jet lag. Like I try to take the day off after we get home from the cruise when I can, because you travel, it takes a toll on your body. But I don't think anyone really has discussed what the trip was about. And I think those are the two things that the China trip was mainly about. But the other thing that happened yesterday is huge. I mean, super huge. But before I tell you what that is, I want to talk about Life Imaging FLA. And then I'll tell you what that's about. The other huge thing that happened yesterday that I never thought would happen. I keep seeing these stories, and I guess, because I have a total clean bill of health, I had the heart scan and the cancer screening at Life Imaging FLA. I have no cancer, and I have the heart of a 25-year-old. I have no plaque buildup and no blockage, which was a shock to me. And but I guess maybe it's because of my age, I'm starting to see all these stories in the news of guys dropping dead from heart attacks. And it's always the same story, Steve. When they talk to his family, didn't even know he had a heart problem. It was out of the blue. And it had just happened. Well, 30 to 40% of heart attacks, the first sign is instant death, right? That you got heart problems. And if any of these guys would have gone to Life Imaging FLA, they'd be alive today because they would have found out that they had blockage or some other heart condition and would have gone immediately to the emergency room and been admitted and had surgery. Life Imaging FLA is all about preventative health. They have locations in Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250. Just say free heart scan and you'll be connected in seconds. All right, so then yesterday, did you see what the CIA director did yesterday? Oh, this was something that I saw this yesterday and I was amazed by it. And then when I woke up this morning and went to the news and I saw what he did, what he negotiated, I was like, holy cow. Okay, so the first thing that happened, Radcliffe, who's Trump's CIA director, he's a real good guy, he went to Havana yesterday and the director of the CIA and openly met with the senior people in the Cuban government. And even the Cuban government reported that they met with the CIA director and they made all kinds of agreements yesterday. And for the CIA director to go to Cuba is a big deal. For him to openly go and then openly meet with the leaders of Cuba is historic and unheard of. And basically what Radcliffe did, they're negotiating the surrender of the communist regime. And they're not only are they out of gas, there's no more coming. Oh, well, what I found out this morning is they have no fuel, no electricity, nothing, and they have no money because China can't help them. Venezuela's can't help them anymore because and we're not letting Russia in either. So the United States, this is what Radcliffe is doing. And Marco will probably take this over when they get back from China. They're on the way back now. They're negotiating the surrender of the communist government. And the United States has offered to give Cuba $100 million, but there's a lot of conditions they have to meet. And one of the things that it looks like they've agreed to do was turn over to the United States for prosecution for murder from the brothers. Remember years ago the Cubans shot down the Brothers to the Rescue planes. And remember, Brothers to the Rescue are Miami Cubans who would fly towards Cuba looking for people on rafts and small craft that were trying to escape, so they could be rescued at sea. And the Cuban government shot and killed some of them. This was years ago. I'd kind of forgotten about it. It's been so long. But what Radcliffe negotiated yesterday was for Cuba, and the current president of Cuba apparently has agreed to this, is to turn over for prosecution for murder in that incident Fidel Castro's brother, the former president of Cuba, Raul Castro. They've agreed to turn over Raul Castro to the United States, Fidel's brother, for prosecution in the murders. And that's crazy. He was president of Cuba. You guys remember when Obama went there? He met with Raul. And for them to turn over Fidel Castro's brother, who was the president, to the United States for prosecution for murder is shocking to me. I was never heard of such a thing, Steve, or even imagined something like that would happen. But so that's what Radcliffe from the CIA did yesterday. So they're.
All made fun of. Remember we were talking about adopting it for 51st and 52nd state?
Yeah.
And all this with Cuba.
Yeah.
And it was a running gag, like in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We made fun of it, but now it's emerging.
That's right.
It was, and as usual, Donald Trump knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
It may not be obvious in the beginning.
That's right. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We're going to go to break, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Steve.
We're doing great. What do you have for us today, Barry?
What I have this morning is the question, do you know what elder law language you have in your current estate plan? Do you even know if you have any in your estate plan? That's an important question because there are two types of estate plans, ones that have elder law language and ones that don't. And most people, unfortunately, have ones that don't. And that could be the difference between protecting everything you have and being able to leave a legacy to your loved ones, or potentially running out of assets during your lifetime and going broke or substantially changing the lifestyle that you or your surviving spouse have for the rest of your lives. And when I talk about elder law language, there's special language that could help make sure that whether you or your spouse, if you have one, if either of you become ill and need care, we all know that the cost of care, whether it's at home or in a facility, is super expensive. Certainly in South Florida and many parts of the country. And so how are we going to pay for it? If you don't have long-term care insurance, then you're either down to making sure you have the right elder law language so you can qualify for government benefits, or spending down your assets and potentially going broke and having no legacy to leave. So I would vote for an estate plan that has elder law language in it to make sure that you have assets the rest of your life and to make sure that you have something to leave to your loved ones down the road.
Absolutely. And give the Siegel Law Group a call. Remember, if you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program, you can take advantage of the no-charge in-office consultation. The number is toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk next week.
All right, wonderful.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. All right, I'm going to maybe take some calls when we get back. Are you there? Okay, hold on.
questions are. If you're turning 65, new to Medicare, moving, or qualifying for a special enrollment period, you may still have options. Don't guess when it comes to your healthcare coverage. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. She'll walk you through your Medicare Advantage, your supplements, and your prescription drug plans. Then help you find coverage that fits your needs and your budget. You don't have to figure this out alone. Call Debbie today at 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080. Debbie can help you with your Medicare no matter where you're located in the state of Florida. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. I Will Advisors, helping you make Medicare simple.
This is Dr. Phil Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician here in Pompano Beach for 40 years. We're open 6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendonitis, you're tired of taking the pills and drugs and injections, and you heard that you have to live with it, well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous.
The phone, I'm reading the news on the phone of some things I'm going to be talking about. That's all. I was going over some stories that I'm going to be covering. That's what I'm looking at the phone for.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It's the Steve Kane Show. All right, you want to take some calls, Steve?
We're going to try to be extra kind to our patients out there today because
Oh, the liberals?
going through, we know what you've been through, yeah.
Yeah.
Liberal patients, and we're going to try to be nice to you, and we understand your pain, and we're going to help you get through this.
All right.
On the other side, without your Trump derangement syndrome.
That's correct. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, good morning. This is Michael. I'm calling from Philadelphia. How are you?
All right, Michael.
I could use some volume.
Yeah, I'm a
on
little
my headset.
disappointed and down on President Trump. I spent $100 on that Trump mobile phone, and it's been a year and I haven't gotten it. Did you get yours? Because I'm sure you purchased one.
No, I didn't.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what I'll do. You send me proof that you purchased it and you didn't get it, and then we'll talk about it. No, excuse me. No. You send proof that you purchased a Trump phone and you didn't receive it, and we'll talk about it. I didn't order one.
You just said you did.
No, I didn't. I said no. That I said when you rehearsed the call in your mirror, maybe I said I ordered one. Oh my God! I'm sorry, Steve. I was supposed to be nice to them, right?
Let's try again.
Okay. I couldn't help myself. You know why I lost it with that guy? Because he's fake MAGA, right? That's the problem. If he was real, I wouldn't have lost my cool. Like if he was said he was a liberal and all this stuff, but
You have to. I'm going to help you with this because we have to deal with this every day. You got to understand these people are in pain.
Yes.
Have to feel the pain. Can you imagine what it's like to wake up one morning and all of a sudden out of nowhere the dam breaks and you look at the upcoming race and you realize you're going to get destroyed in this upcoming election. So just imagine the pain that goes through your heart.
Well, there's. In the last hour, I went over a couple of things that the Democrats are dealing with, and it's really bad, okay? And one of them was new that I had not heard until yesterday, and it was what the Supreme Court is about to rule on the counting of ballots, and that they're expected to rule that ballots have to be counted on election day. That you can't have, this, oh, we lost by 20,000 votes, okay, and keep counting till you get 20,001, right? Then it's over. And Alito said it's called Election Day for a reason. And
major there's been a swing that has occurred over the last month to 6 weeks in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I think they a certain number of them in the last couple of weeks have woken up to the fact that the liberals are attempting to do real damage to the country, and I think it's affected their decision, because we've gotten a whole bunch of great decisions, one right after the other, and all of them favor the survival of our
well, yeah, so there's a couple things. So if they have to count the ballots on election day, that's, they're done. And then there was the American Spectator, which is a conservative publication. I don't always agree with them, a lot of never-Trumpers over there. But there's a lot of the never-Trumpers, the Weekly Standard type people, they're coming back to the MAGA movement because of this redistricting. This redistricting that's going on around the country has been a long time dream of the Republican Party, and it's never been done, right? Yeah, and the other Supreme Court ruling that ended the last bit of systemic segregation in this country, saying that the racially segregated congressional districts are unconstitutional and they're gone now. And it was believed that there were 21 congressional districts held by the Democrats that were based on the race-based districts. The American Spectator did an analysis of the Democrats, and they say that the 126 seats held by Democrats is over racial gerrymandering. That is over now. 126 seats that the Democrats are done. I mean, not only are they done, they don't even have a path when you look at all these things that are happening. And they got nothing. That's right. No, they got AOC. They got AOC. She's the front runner, they said. But their whole election strategy between the Supreme Court and the state legislators and the governors, it's over. And it's beyond recovery. It's beyond recovery for them, and they know it. And it's going to, and a lot of this is happening for this election. And then, but it will all be in place by 2028. And remember, the entire House is up every 2 years. So over the next two elections, this one's going to have a big impact. But after the next two, for the very first time in any of our lives, we're going to have a Congress that is a true representation of the American people, not this gerrymandered Democrat thing.
Going to occur when they realize that the jig is up, and they're going to, how's...
That's correct.
So you're going to see what you're seeing in public now in New York, for example. Realize that their Mandani is not going to do it for them, and they realize that they're going to lose the battle.
That's correct. Now, one thing that you don't have, Steve, any longer is our leaks in your roof. And, I want to talk about Tom Laporta, because at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. Find another roofer, he'll say that. I dare you, right? But, when we talk about, when you hear us talk about Tom Laporta, you often hear us say, if you have a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. Well, we found that out through you, Steve. You had this little wet spot on your ceiling that was the size of like a coin. And in the beginning, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I remember I came over to your house, and your house was filled with buckets. There were buckets all over your house where they were collecting water. It was crazy. I don't know. It was like Chinese water torture, I would imagine, staying at your house. Yeah, and because we didn't know Tom Laporta. This is how we found Tom, actually. But because you ignored that wet spot on the ceiling, which means you had a leak in your roof, it caused a lot of damage. 40% of the drywall in your home had to be replaced because it had absorbed the water and it was growing deadly black mold. The moisture in your attic and in your walls from the leaks you ignored caused a termite infestation. So termites were eating your home, and you had to get a whole new roof. If you would have called Tom Laporta when you saw that first wet spot, you may have only needed a simple repair. Tom Laporta does incredible work, and he covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. And it's also important for you to understand he's not just a roofer, he's a contractor. And in the state of Florida, as a contractor, he's able to deal with your insurance company on the cost of the replacement or the repair of your roof, which speeds things up a lot. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. Call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. All right, everybody, hold on. We'll be right back.
It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. From the all-year cooling weather center, South Florida's #1 choice for AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
Okay, are we set up? Hey, what's going on?
Good morning, good morning.
Did you have anything in particular you want me to bring up?
I'll tell you what I did hear. I heard a lot of people from FP&L, Xterra, are getting.
Whoa.
The older folks are getting laid off.
Oh, really?
So.
What do they have, 401ks?
Pension and 401ks. So just interesting, you know.
And those guys make good money, too.
We've been getting a few of them.
They make a good money.
We got one yesterday, and husband and wife, and they're getting forced out after like 60 something.
Oh my gosh.
They don't want to get rid of it. Yeah, just interesting.
Okay.
You get a haircut, Lee?
I'm going to be on, I'm doing a TV thing next week, so I had to get a haircut before I did. I was letting my hair grow out. If you ever see me get a haircut, it usually means I'm going to be on TV. I only get haircuts so I'm going to do TV. And I was on last week, and I didn't get a haircut, and I regretted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because TV makes you look heavier.
I slick mine back, and then I cut it myself. My girl's like, Joe, you need a haircut. I'm like, I know.
Well, the TV adds weight to you, and when my hair's longer, it adds weight to you too, you know.
Anything new?
Nah, same stuff.
Same
Same stuff.
Cool. So you think, it seemed like the China thing was a little not as promoted as big as it could have been.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
yeah. The media did, yeah.
I know.
It was almost like a non-event, the way they reported it.
I mean, it's a big deal. Look at all the business people that were on that trip, man.
Oh my gosh, the masters of industry. It was like Ayn Rand.
Tim Cook, I mean,
That chip guy,
yeah,
the computer
Jason
chip
Wong,
guy, yeah.
Jason Wong, whatever his name is.
Elon Musk.
I mean, this is some big time. They said that there was like 5 or 6 billionaires on
Yeah. Not including Trump.
Not including-
Or
yeah,
and
no,
Scott
no.
Bassett, you know.
I like Scott Bassett. He knows his stuff.
I don't know too much about him before he was treasurer. I mean, you know, but I mean, with his politics, but he's really smart.
Well, he knows his
He's the one that gave Elon Musk that black eye, you know. They got into a shoving match at the White House.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he gave him a black eye.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I just heard a guy the other day. I was watching CNBC about money, and they were talking about Elon and just how smart he is. Like, you know, with
Yeah.
his intelligence level is amazing. I don't know. That's what he was talking about.
I had 2 times I almost got to meet him, and it just never happened.
What happened?
I wanted to meet him so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But when he was at Mar-a-Lago all the time, every time I was over there and I would see one of the Cybertrucks near Mar-a-Lago, I'd look to see if he was in it. You know, because I figured if he's driving around, he's probably in one of those.
Yeah. Kai.
Yeah, she has.
She's got one. Yeah. I seen her one day. I was playing with some
Oh,
guys.
really?
Yeah, she was practicing. And I said, I heard her talking to herself. She was just hitting balls. And I said, I go, and then I look over and see a guy in the wood, literally in the.
Oh, really?
Standing here like this, and his hand was on his gun.
Wow.
Yeah, just ready. And
He had his hand on the gun?
Hand on it, like leaning.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, there's just one guy in there. But they follow. She drives.
Well, she lives in Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they follow her around. Yeah. Jupiter Country Club, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her mom lives there too. Well,
Tiger Woods' girlfriend, fiance.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that's gonna last. That episode.
Should be crazy to marry that lunatic. I don't feel sorry for him. He's a mess. He's always been a mess.
Hire somebody to drive you around. You're worth $1 billion.
Because he's doing things he doesn't want people to witness. That's. All right, Jupiter Joe Thomas is here. You're just telling me you saw Kai Trump hitting balls at the driving range.
Yeah, Admiral Cove.
You know, you were saying that she had there was Secret Service there in the woods, and he had his hand on his gun while she was hitting the balls.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was ready for business.
Oh my goodness! Oh my! I wish they were that ready when they come after Trump, because they don't seem to be as ready as ready.
My granddaughter's probably a little more important, I think.
Oh my goodness! You know, you were telling me that Florida Power and Light, they've been doing a lot of layoffs.
Yeah, for this, I think for older people.
Ageism.
Yeah, employees that have enough years in service and age, they want to get them out. They can hire 2 people for the price of 1.
Well, you know, I've known a lot of people over the years that worked at FPL. They pay very well.
They do.
And
good pension, good 401k, good benefits. If you can get a job there, it's great.
You know, see, the thing I don't, you know, this is the thing with 401ks, and maybe I'm wrong. You're the financial advisor. I'm not. 401ks are awesome. You're right. You're working. You're putting in money. Maybe your employer's matching. You're doing all this stuff. But when you're done working, what do you do with the money? It's just sitting. If you keep the 401k, you're just eating away at the principal all the time.
Nobody knows, Brian.
What to do, right?
Yeah,
what to do with it.
I do know. It's an accumulation product. You accumulate money, but there's no distribution.
Correct.
So what happens is you're guessing. You call up HR and you go, hey, how do I take money out? Well, you pick 4%, you pick 8%.
Oh, my goodness.
And depending on what happens to the market, your money is going up and down. You don't know how long your money's going to last.
And you know, anytime you are eating away at your principal, eventually you're going to have nothing.
Yeah, and that's why, hence, people say, I'm worried about running out of money, for a good reason, because you will run out of money if you don't have a plan of action, you know?
Well, you know, I was talking this week with someone in my family. You know, we're doing our, the whole family, we're doing our things with Barry Siegel, you know, like, you know, where all the money's going to go. And it comes to that discussion on certain members of the family. You don't want them to get a windfall of money, right? Because they're not responsible. And we were talking about leaving the money to them in an annuity, where they can't touch the principal and they get the money every month.
Yeah, I mean, I have people that have done this many times. They'll have 2 or 3 kids, and one kid is just not responsible with money. You can limit how much money they get per month.
Yeah.
And for how many years with an annuity.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting what you can do.
Yeah, and you know, and that's how you create generational wealth. And I'll tell you, my wife and I, we read and watch a lot of old things, and my wife was reading a Sherlock Holmes novel. This is crazy. I was thinking this was crazy. She's reading a Sherlock Holmes novel, and this is like, what, the 1880s? And they were talking about annuities.
Really?
And annuities are not as new as people think. They've been around for a long time, and this is what the rich used to use, and now they're available to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people say, well, have a pension. And they don't realize a pension is an annuity.
That's correct.
Anything that gives you an annual installment for a period of time
Yeah.
is some form of an annuity. The lottery is an annuity.
Yeah.
When you win a lawsuit, you see these big, you know, lawyers who say they just won $1 million. They're not giving you $1 million cash. They're going to give you an annuity
Correct.
over 20 years.
Correct. And you know, so far as the generational wealth, like we were talking about these Florida Power and Light people that have a 401k. They call Joe Thomas. They put their money in an annuity. They've got that monthly income, same time every month, forever and ever and ever. And then at the end, though, the nest egg is still there. They can, if they or their spouse are still alive, they can turn it into another annuity or leave that annuity to their kids. It's a way to build generational wealth where you never run out of money because your principal never gets touched.
We reach your goals. That's what we do.
Well, listen, guys, call Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Joe, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, Steve, you back with us? Steve, are you back with us, Steve? Okay, back with us. Okay. All right, so I wanted to get back on track to what we were talking about, because we, you know, so what's the Democrats are done. I mean, there's, you know, when you look, Steve, I've been following this governor's race in California and the mayor's race in LA, and I usually don't follow those races because they're hopeless for us, right? I mean, it's like New York City. There was no way that Mamdani was not going to win, but that's correct. And you're going to see what's happening, Steve, is both of these races, okay, are LA and the state of California. They're both primaries. So the top two people in each race go on to the general election, okay? So no matter, Steve Hilton's number one. Number two was that Becerra, that jerk, the Democrat. So it's going to be Steve Hilton versus him. But Spencer Pratt in LA is only, in the latest poll, and you know it's a left-leaning poll, he's only 8 points behind Karen Bass in the latest poll. So when that primary is over, it's going to be between Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass in the general election. And a week ago, I would have, okay, he's performing well, you know, but it's still kind of hopeless. And now I'm seeing, wow, you know, it's really, yeah, you know, and yeah, but even if we lose the mayor's race to Bass, we came so close, it's almost like a win. So, you know, I'm not big into the polls. You are, but when I look at the polls, I always look at the trends, right? You know, the trend is my friend. I always look at the trend. I don't look at I know we talk about them sometimes and everything else, but mostly with the poll, because you have to, they're in the news. But mostly with the polls, I look for the trends as to where the polls are going. And right now, while these aren't polls, we're seeing all this trend, right? We've been the front runner in the California governor's race for about 6 weeks, and it's never even been challenged. We're with single digits in a three-way race in Los Angeles. The redistricting nationwide, where everyone that is involved in Florida politics has said that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is out. And those of you that aren't from South Florida aren't so familiar with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. But she's kind of like a boss tweet-like figure, isn't she, in the Democrat Party? I mean, she's one of the big Democrat Party bosses. And she's out. And I've seen some heavy hitters over the years go up against, and some weirdos too, but some heavy hitters go up against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And it's always been hopeless. And now with this redistricting, the redistricting was specifically targeting her and also the other idiot in Palm Beach, Lois Frankel. She's not as well known as Debbie. She used to be the mayor of West Palm, not Palm Beach, but of West Palm, and she's another liberal idiot. But, you know, so in these rulings we were talking about in the Supreme Court, the race-based districts, you have to count ballots on election day. The trend, everything is in our favor. And all of these things, Steve, are none of the things we're seeing factor in the fear of ICE at polling locations, how that's going to depress the Democrat vote. I don't even hear anybody talking about that. But, you know, so the trend is all in our favor to gain seats in both houses. It's just is. I mean, there's just, I mean, obviously we got to have a massive turnout. We can't get too confident and not have a massive turnout. But, all right, we want to take some more calls? All right, let's go. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, long time no hear. Yeah, you're not missing much. Speak up a little bit. Neil Rogers? Who was talking about Neil? When? Oh, that was like weeks ago. Okay. No, Steve, hold on. What? How to defend myself against what? Are you okay, Ford? It's open phones on Friday, but not. We got to have some quality control, and you're not passing the muster today. I mean, all right, yeah. Take care. Save me the trouble. Oh my goodness. The calls today, Steve, have not been the quality that I would like, especially, you know, here, this is the problem with the open phones on Friday. It's either the best show of the week or it's the worst of the month. You know what I mean? And the quality of calls today has been kind of, but you know what? Yeah, I guess. I'm not compassionate. No, I'm not. No, I'm just, I just don't have patience. I don't have patience. I mean, this guy here, you know, I don't know if he was drunk or what, but he's calling about something that was a reference like a month ago. And then he's like, I don't know. I don't quite get. All right, listen. Oh, you know what? It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the final gold report of the week. William Youngerman, how the metals looking today?
Dramatically today, and the Treasury bills are so the interest rates are higher, pushing through some important levels, which is pressure on all the areas. Gold yesterday closing at $4,681 after trading in a range of 46.43 to 47.19. We got an echo here.
No, you're coming through clear. I know. We know about the echo, but you're coming through clear, William.
All right. Silver was down $4 yesterday at $80.36. Platinum was down $82 at $2,054. Vanadium was down $55 at $1,406. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,531 on the low, all the way up to $4,669. And right now, gold is down $106.30 at $4,544.70 the ounce. Silver down $5.95 at $77.41 the ounce. Platinum down $74 at $1,980, and palladium down $26 at $1,400. So we're seeing oil much higher this morning, and the price of oil up $3.26 back up to over $104 a barrel. And as I said, there's pressure on interest rates going higher now. So things are just in a very short-term opportunity here for gold buyers and silver buyers at super savings today. A great buying opportunity on this little pullback or on this big pullback, and certainly worth a time to add to your position.
Yeah, this is the kind of day that people that are into the metals are like hoping for all week, because what I say is that the metals are on sale today, and this is the time when you could start loading up. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. Remember, you could do all your transactions over the phone and through the mail. He opens up at 10 a.m. 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010, or stop in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. Awesome, William. Okay, so we'll talk on Monday. All right. Take care. All right, I'm going to put you and everyone on hold. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this.
The cold, hard truth.
What's up, Craig? All right. I know, it's a mystery.
We're going to find it.
It's a mystery. One thing I mean, I'm sure you're aware. Yeah, I don't. When callers are on hold, what they hear is the delay. They don't hear live when they're on hold. It's always been that way. They hear the delay. So I don't know if that's a factor, but I don't know. But
Shouldn't be.
I don't know
You're
anything.
Putting them on the air.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if they're still hearing
the.
the.
Be listening to the delay because that's going to throw them.
But we did a test today. I wanted to make sure Mike heard it because I'm not crazy.
Well, we're going to isolate it.
I'm sure you'll find. No worries.
Because William heard it.
Yes, and Steve hasn't said a word, and he would be.
What line is he
He's on the last. This one. He's on 6.
Is he always on 6?
Not always, but.
I'm just trying to put a puzzle together.
But I don't know.
We'll get it.
Coral Springs. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only 2 advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now in Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is up.
All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve, you back with us? All right. Yeah, I'm really. You want to go back to the phones? I mean, the quality has been really bad today. I don't know. What do you want to? Let's try one more. What the heck? Right? It's Friday. Let's be adventurous. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, Alan.
Yeah. What's up, Al? Listen to Harrison. Hey, Steve. Listening to Harrison Ford, I mean...
Oh, my goodness.
How much do you want to bang your head against the wall? You're graduating from college after spending all that time trying to get an education. And I would be so depressed after listening to that. And
yeah.
In comparison, there was a gentleman named Eric Church that spoke at the University of North Carolina commencement speech.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about the 6 foundations of faith, family, spouse, community, all the while playing the guitar. I'm telling you, I'm not a UNC guy, but I'm sat there, I listened to the entire 18 minutes.
Well, Arizona State is, I told a caller earlier, it's one of the most liberal universities in the Arizona State is the place where they had the safe spaces, for people of color in the library, and they kicked out the white student because it's not, white people weren't allowed. So it's like one of the last places where they still racially segregate at the universities in our country. It's pretty left wing. But this is the thing. Billy Bob Thornton was on. I think I talked about this on the show the other day. But Billy Bob Thornton was on The View the other day. And they were trying to get him to talk about politics. And he said, I'm an actor. I don't have any opinions on politics. I don't follow it. I know nothing. And when he left in the next segment, the coven of The View, they just, of course, after he was gone, attacked him. When you have a platform, you've got to give your political opinions. And, when you see people like Harrison Ford or what Mark Hamill did a couple weeks ago, I can't watch anything with De Niro in it anymore. It takes you out of the escape of the movie when you see what it's a terrible thing when actors do that.
But again, you leave that commencement speech with Harrison Ford, and you're like, what's the use?
Yeah, what's the use?
And after the gentleman at UNC, and you're like, hey, I'm proud to...
Well, my favorite part with Harrison Ford, there are two things. What one was when he talked about greed, and I told that story. He used to get $20 million a movie. Now he's a supporting actor on an Apple TV television show, Shrinking. It's embarrassing. I mean, he's not even the star of the show. He's like the third supporting actor. I mean, it's really sad. But and I saw him interviewed on Larry King. And he said, if you had a friend that did an independent movie, would you do it for scale? And he said, no. He says, if I'm in it, I should, it's going to make enough money for me to make $20 million. So he used to, when he was a movie star, he was pretty greedy, and now he's against greed. What is it, Harrison Ford? All right, appreciate the call, man. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes. Yeah, the thing with Harrison Ford. I mean, I know people say, who cares what Harrison Ford thinks? Well, the reality is that there really aren't actors anymore. It's not that people don't care what actors think. There aren't movie stars or actors. There aren't that many of them. And whatever Harrison Ford said at that commencement address, and the same thing goes for Mark Hamill, his co-star from Star Wars, with that disgusting photograph he posted online of President Trump. I promise you, Harrison Ford takes all of the Trump tax deductions, right? I promise you, he's going up against greed and attacking Trump. There's not a Trump tax cut that Harrison Ford does not take, all right? I promise you, as much as he claims to hate the man. But, it really shows you, though, Steve, all they got now is Harrison Ford, who is, he hasn't been a movie star since 1990 something. Whenever Cowboys and Aliens came out, that was the end of him being a movie star. Whenever that movie, you look up that movie, it bombed, and he hasn't been a movie star ever since. The Democrats don't even have up and coming representation to make their case anywhere in the country. They're really not. You don't see high profile liberals anymore that anyone cares about. But there was an incident with Turning Point. Turning Point USA, they have kind of like a traveling troupe of spokespeople, and sometimes they subtract and add to it. And they added someone that's a very good speaker, a young woman whose parents got a sex change operation for when she was a child. Yes, and but her parents had her turned into a guy, and then she went back to being a woman. And I could only imagine what condition her body's in, because she had everything done. And she joined the Turning Point USA troupe of speakers. They've had to cancel her speaking engagements because the liberals are making these threats, and what you're seeing with the liberals, you're going to see more and more outbursts with the left, because they're losing their grip, they're losing their influence, and they're losing their power, and they're acting out, right? And yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I want to talk about Friendly Tire and Margate. Friendly Tire and Margate have been with us here on the Steve Kane Show for many, many years. They have the lowest prices on new tires you're going to find anywhere. And now, this is crazy. I know, with prices going up and gas going up, one place they don't go up is Friendly Tire and Margate. You can get brand new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. And when I say out the door and on the road, Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance a tire, mount your tire, or dispose of your old tire. And as low as $75 on new tires, that's on common sizes on some of the most popular vehicles on the road. He has thousands of good used tires in stock as low as $35 a tire. That's out the door and on the road as well. And he also does tire repairs, which other places don't do. Call Friendly Mike. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445. Make sure you tell him you heard about him on the Steve Kane Show. So I'll make another prediction too. What's going on in the Persian Gulf, they have these, the Iranians have these, they call them go-fast boats. And for those that don't know what, go-fast boats. Go-fast boats are, it's like Don Johnson in Miami Vice. They have speedboats, right? You can go to any marina here in South Florida, and you'll see go-fast boats. It's kind of a weird name, but they basically have speedboats, and they've been causing some obvious havoc because they're just a regular speedboat, but they just have a guy with a machine gun on the bow. Whatever. I mean, I could go out in Lake Okeechobee and probably find some guys on a speedboat, and a guy's got a 12 gauge on the bow. It's basically what they got. But the reason that they've been allowed to run amok, I think, lately is because the China trip was coming up, and Trump didn't want any combat going on so he could leave the country, right? Because he couldn't, if there was some combat going on with Iran, he couldn't leave the country. So he's on his way back now. I would imagine they're going to take him out. There's no way they're not going to take them out now. Once they're back and they're settled in, it's going to be over. That was part of what happened in China as well. He was letting China know what they're doing over there. But you watched a lot of the China coverage, I'm assuming, Steve. Yeah, I watched it over the last couple days, and the coverage has really been weak. But to me, when I saw the Chinese leaders, they looked really not their normal selves. They didn't look arrogant, right? They looked like almost worried because they're having a major financial crisis between losing the oil from Venezuela and Iran. And they're having a major problem. And it was the first time a president had met with China in a long time where we had the upper hand. That's how I saw it. over there just by looking at their body language and the look on their face. That was not the normal arrogance you get from the Chinese, especially when we're in their country. There were a couple of run-ins with the Secret Service and the Chinese security, and there was some fighting going on and things like this. But the leaders did not look themselves. They just didn't. They looked very off. And I think the media know it. That's why they keep saying that, oh, Trump didn't have the upper hand and all this stuff. No, the opposite was true. All right, well, listen, guys, we're out of time for the week. But we'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. And, of course, you're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Next year it'll be the big 5-0, Steve. A long time, long time. When the show first started, Steve did the show with a telegraph, with the dots and the dashes. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane has been here, and we'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. And also, don't miss next week. There's some specials for Memorial Day we're going to be talking about on our cruise that we're going to be announcing next week, so don't miss that. All right, see you Monday morning at 6 a.m.
And in Martin County on 14.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I got to clear out, so I'll see you over the weekend. All right, take care.